everybody, or good evening. It's here in Germany we have it 10:30 already. So actually I should go to bed now and sleep, because I fell asleep on the sofa in front of the telly, and I'm a little bit bananas. But I thought I wanted to give you some little bit of tips and tricks, and talking about the brushes. Annette asked today for some guidance how to use the brushes and how to load them. First of all, I'm gonna take myself out of the way, and here we go. This is the big window. We should need to. So, okay. I have here reference, some reference pictures for the tricks later. Brushes. When you get a new brush set, you always open the folder, and you can double click on the image, on the icon. We're going to have a look into the new upcoming collection, Painter's Toolbox. Here we are. Well, we have here some spray brushes, and we open it, and here's the ABR file, and you double click on it, and then it loads into your Photoshop. You work with it, and then you like to delete it. You go to edit, and then you go down to presets and choose here the preset manager. And then the preset manager contains everything you can load. It's brushes, swatches, gradients, styles, patterns, contours, custom shapes, and tools. Today I'm talking only about the brushes and the styles, so you can see that. And if you know how to handle brushes, then you know all the other packs as well. Brushes, when you load them now in the Photoshop 2017 and now also 2018 version, they open in those folders. That's really very neat, and you have everything in one place, and you know how what fits together, or what kind of set contains which brushes. So this is for example, the scattered brushes, and you can see the brush mix here, color dips. They are all in one folder. So, how can I explain that? Photoshop holds only brushes in the cache, what is smaller than 2 gigabytes. Well, if you load brushes and load again and load, and you have so many brushes loaded that they are more than 2 gigabytes, and you close your Photoshop again, then the preset manager will be empty. That's why we need to always take a little bit care how much we have loaded, and that we go into the preset manager from time to time and delete again some of those folders. Your brushes will not be away. You always have them in those folders you have bought and on your hard drive. So if you one time delete this file, the brush will be gone. So you need to contact me and get a new download. So always, this is the most important thing, that you keep those ABR files and have them on a safe place. Maybe have a copy somewhere. But well, if you lost something, don't hesitate to contact me. You sure get with your order number the file back. But back to the preset manager. Okay, how I said, you can delete the folders by clicking on them, going to the right side here, and hit the button delete over here. Photoshop will ask you if you want really deleted. You can say yes. So it's gone now. It happens, well, I have here thousands of brush sets created by myself, or I have ordered by myself. And when I load, for example, my collection of bokeh, the bokeh collection, it is so huge that when I close Photoshop, the file is not will not be showing up the next time when I restart my Photoshop. That can happen when you have too many folders in here. For example, you have 30 or 40 such folders here, and then one time you open your Photoshop and want to work again with your brushes and they are gone. Then this happened that altogether all the brushes are bigger than 2 gigabytes. You will not get information that it's too huge. Photoshop will close and they are gone. So you need to reload them. Okay, that's the one thing. The more you have loaded, for example, if you have now 10, 20 brush sets loaded and they have a size together of 1 gigabyte. So every time when you close your Photoshop, Photoshop will save those loaded brush sets into a extra file somewhere on your hard drive. And this will need a time while you shut down your Photoshop. So the more you have here loaded in the brushes, the longer Photoshop needs to shut down, because it saves them. Especially then when you have loaded in the setting you just work on some new brushes, it needs to load and save them a little bit longer than the ones you have already loaded in the session you worked before, a day before or some hours before. Well, the last time you have shut down Photoshop and reopen it. I think that's very important. Also important is if you have loaded something and you quit your Photoshop. For example, I quit now Photoshop. On a Mac, I can quit Photoshop down here. Go to here is quit. It's in the dock, and you can go quit. That is that Photoshop will be really quit and saves nothing at all what you have in that session loaded. So everything will also be gone. Important is always to quit Photoshop over the menu. Go quit or use your Command Q, and then everything will be, if it's not larger than 2 gigabytes, saved. Those 2 gigabytes are really only when you have brushes, gradients, styles. So that when you go again to the preset manager, you go to the styles, there is the same. They don't have this with the folders for the styles, which would be really also very cool if they can implement that in the future, because everything will be also very good sorted, and you better can find your styles and see how they are named. So they are still in this little little icons and not in folders. You can change the view of the, no, I don't like that, and I have that one always. Yes, the styles are the same and if you go to the pattern, these are the same. If I have now pattern which are over 2 gigabytes, they will not be saved. All my patterns will be gone and I need to reload them. So that isn't that bad if you not created a brush by your own or a style by your own. If you do that, it can happen that you have you create a shadow, for example. We're going to add here now a little bit of a shadow. You can see when I zoom in, here's the shadow. So, and if you like to have that shadow now as your own shadow and want to use it again, then you go to your style palette over here and click on the bottom, this little icon in the middle, and then you go and see new style, and you can name it shadow test, we call it now, and hit OK. So you have here now your own created shadow, and you can use it on any other layouts or collection or templates, wherever you use it, and use it one time and as often as you like. If now Photoshop would be quit, not using the quit Photoshop CC, I'm gonna shut it down now, Photoshop. So I'm gonna reopen it, and you will see the style is gone because it had not a time to save it. You need to save styles, brushes, patterns, etc. what you created by your own. And this only works over the preset manager. Just hold on. This is also something when Photoshop is loaded with lots of filters and brushes and styles, it needs really a long time to load, because all of those extra settings and extra pieces you have installed needs time to load. And I don't know how many filters I have and brushes and styles, and that's why it takes so long. Even I have a real fast SSD hard drive in my Mac. It takes ages. That's why I need to talk now so much. Yes. Gonna shut that down. So always take care if you close your Photoshop, always use quit, so you can be sure that everything is safe. If not, a style is. Let's see. You can see here the drop shadow we had already in the styles is gone because Photoshop wasn't able to save that in the cache. And if you now, we're gonna do the style again. Where are my? Over here. We use the drop shadow. Here it is. We go and click on that. Hello. Shadow test. We hit OK. And now we go into the presets. Edit, presets, preset manager. Okay. And then we go to the styles. It takes a bit because it needs now to load. And when we scroll down, we see on the last position in the styles, the one we created just. We click on it and it's blue around now. And then we go here and choose the Save Set. And now we name that and it's called Shadow Test. We search a place we like to have it saved. And it's a small file now. And then we hit Done. And you can see we have now here on the Finder here an ASL file. It's a shadows file. And now you have that shadow really safe on your hard drive. Nothing can happen anymore. If your Photoshop will crash, you will have that file always and forever. If you not delete it, throw it in the bin. But you have that file and you can always keep that somewhere. You know where your styles are, and if you now double click on it, it reloads again as a new style, even if you have it already in here. But if you now delete that one, and if you delete the next one, and go here and make a double click, you have your shadow, your own created shadow here. That's how styles work. The same is if you have a brush. If you have created a brush, or when you use some of the, just hold on, we create a new file, and for example, I'm just a bit working with mixer brushes. For that, I need, let's open that one. That's only now for demonstration. Mixer brushes, I will do soon a video how to use mixer brushes and come up with some sets, but just for example now. So this is now a mixer brush, for example, painting with that, and you have that brush now from me bought, and you changed it now. You changed a little bit the settings by your own, and you want to keep that special brush set, for example. You change that, and then you go over here. You open the brush settings. It's here, brush settings. Then this window opens, and then you go on the bottom again, click this little icon, and then again a new brush window will open. You can call it mixer, my own test. So you have now created your own brush, and you can find it also at the preset manager. So here we go. Let's large thumbnail. Let's see. This is the one we just created. I want to see the name, large thumbnail. No, not that one. Large list. So mixer, my own test. This is now the brush we just had, we just created. So to keep it forever, we go click on it again, and then we go to the save set, and we go to a place we like to save it, call it my own mixer brush, hit save, done, and now I have again on my finder here my own brush set. This works with any other brushes when you use the brush tool, and if, for example, you from the new Precious brush mix, for example, you have that one. Let's see, and you create your own brush out of many different other ones. I'm gonna stamp here randomly around only to create something new. So if you want now, save this, for example, you go define brush set, define brush preset, call it my own brush number 2, and then we go again to the presets. We're going to the presets manager, click that here, save set, my own brush number 2, save it, click done, go to the finder, and you see you have your own brush created. Double click on it, and you can see, oops, going to the brushes, my own brush number, and it will open in the new Photoshop CC 2018 as a own folder, because you reopen it from the finder, and as soon you do that, it will open as a own folder in your preset manager. Click on it and use it as your own created brush. Brushes are very versatile. There are so many things you need to know, especially if you like to have them done that as many as possible other versions of Photoshop and Photoshop elements. They work. There are many different parameters which you need to know that they work properly. So that's why it can happen sometimes that brushes don't work in older versions. I try them often. My CT girls try them a lot, and but it can happen that they not work. But always go and contact me and ask what the problem is, and I think mostly of the time I can fix the problem or find out a problem why some brushes, for example, not work in a Photoshop Elements version, which is older than the version 12. So from Photoshop Elements 13 and higher, the less problems we have with the brushes. Okay, this is what I liked to tell you about brushes. If you have any questions, please let me know. It was now a little bit hard for me to explain everything, because how I already said, I was asleep on the sofa already, and now I decided to do a little bit of a live, and it was very spontaneous. Okay, here we go. Only some tips, little bit of Photoshop, around what you can do, how I work, what I suggest you to do. Most of the time we go onto our PC or a Mac, and we like to create something. I think sometimes we need to go on and open Photoshop without any goals, only to sit and play around with the filters, with the tools that Photoshop has, because only if you play around you will find out what this program can do. It's so huge, it's so versatile, it's unbelievable what this program can do. When I started my job, I was 17, and I was the first time when I used Photoshop, it was Photoshop 2.0. It didn't have any layers. Well, you had a photo, and if you have, you can paint over it a bit, and that was it. You not had any layers. I don't know how we worked with that program, but it increased. It turned out to such an amazing program. I'm still addicted, and I think I will ever be addicted to it. But to keep Photoshop to something very magic, you need to learn it. You need to know it. You need to see how things react when you use them. Especially then, when you try to make an artwork or a layout, you very need to know how things work. And that's why I try to do some lives the next time. I'm going to show you some here and there, some tips and tricks, what things can do. And for that, I have this kind of image created. I will later share that in the Apology group, so you can download it and use it for your own and play around with it. I used black and white picture, a very bright one with pink and blues, and here with sunlight, and another one with a little bit of a darker image, and in the middle I have one with a little bit grayish, winterish feeling. Okay, when we go to image, for example, we can go to adjustment. Here are already a lot of different settings. Go in it and play around. Well, if you, for example, use the threshold, what does it? Look at it. If you play around here with the slider, see what can happen. And you can see you can create really awesome effects. If you place now on the back a paper, just hold on a second. That's one of the new gesso papers. And if you now go to the layers and choose the setting multiply, this is what happens. It's only by using 2 adjustment. Here's the adjustment layer threshold, and then we use the multiply setting, and you already have a total different effect than before. That's why I say please play around and get to know all the settings what you have. We sure will do again and again some tips and tricks, especially Annika does a lot of those quick tips and videos how to use filters, but to get to know, you can do such things like using the filters, for example, stylized you can use. Here is maybe we can use pixel rate, crystallize. You can see that happens. Well, I think I'm gonna like that on top of that, because it makes it kind of, it looks very art after art or so. So maybe you can find one day a layout you like to have that in, that kind of effect. It's really, really playing around is so important. Or what you also can do is blur. No, not blur gallery, and then you use the tilt shift. If you have some landscape, it really works good because it blurs, you see that on top and on the bottom now. And if you play around with you can see the slider, you only need to move your mouse up and down, or you can, and if you click then on top of it, okay, or not. Why didn't it work? Well, doesn't like me. Preview. Okay. Now you can see we have that blur effect. We have in the middle everything crystal clear, and on top and on the bottom we have it blurred. Also a nice effect for your layouts. If you want to have something in focus, try that. Use it, play around with it. Render. We're going back to the adjustment layers. The vibrance, for example. Play around. What happened? You see the colors got more saturated. You go with that up. that can look sometimes very good on images. If you want to have an image which pops out of your layout, or you have elements or papers that are already very bright, so it can be very nice to have an image that also pops out. Or you have a black and white layout, and you want to have an image that's truly colorful. Or what you also can do is you can select parts of your image. Let's go here. We go only here by using quick selection tool. And we only choose the lips of this sweet girl here. And that's always the same. I don't like that tool that much. So, what happens? Okay. We go to adjustment, vibrance, and now we're going up with the saturation. Click OK. So we have only the lips from the girl now. Very saturated. On that girl it doesn't look that nice. But you can let pop out really parts of anything. Or what you also can do, I go and copy the layer. And I take the layer on the bottom now. I'm using the filter here on the adjustment layers. Go to black and white. So we have that black and white. Hit OK. It's only this adjustment layer is now above the layer here. When I click on it, on the eye, then it turns off. And when I click on it, it turns on. And then we have the copy on top. And then we make a little bit of a selection. This girl, let's see here. Or we do it different. We make a mask here. Click on the icon. It's now white. And we fill it with black. Foreground needs to be black. Choose Alt and Delete. And then it fills the mask with black. And now you can go to your brushes. And we choose what we're going to do. Just a second. Brushes. Here we go. No. And a little bit smaller. And then we choose the foreground color. Needs to be white. Click on it. So by clicking on, tapping over in the mask, you delete parts of the mask now. I think that is a part what we really can do in an extra live or webinar, how to use them. But I only like to give you a little bit something that you can, maybe it helps you to play around and you can figure out a little bit something new for yourself. Okay, now we have on the back the black and white, and on top we have the colored one. Now we switch from the mask on the little icon of the image. Click on that it's selected. And then we go to image again, adjustment, vibrance, and we go up with the saturation. And you see how everything pops out now, especially because the background is now black and white. And now you have on top of it a kind of colored mask. And you can change the brush set, only use the soft round pressure, and go back to the mask, the black one that it's selected. Take a look that you have in the foreground white color. If you have here black, it takes away from the mask. And if you have white in the foreground, you can paint on the mask and color this image here. And if you want to take away again, and on the last webinars or lives, I told you that you can change the colors by clicking D. Well, if you hit X on your keyboard without anything else, only X, black will be in the foreground, white will be in the background, and if you click D, the background color changes with the foreground colors. But now we like to paint a little bit more of the color on the image, and that's why we have the white in the foreground, because we like to paint on the mask. We like to paint white on a black surface. And if we like to take away the color, we go hit X on the keyboard so that we have the black again in the foreground, and then we go and paint over it, and then we have again the black image to see. So we take away with the mask, and maybe it's better to see. This is how now your mask looks like. So this is only the mask part of the top image. And if you turn on again the layer and also turn on the adjustment we made with the black and white, it looks like that. And you see, there are so many different things you can create. I will save later that that file how it is as a PSD, and you can get that with a Dropbox download, and you can play with it and learn how to use it. Let's go to this colors here of flowers, and we paint over it. And you see, as we are on the mask, it's selected. You can see a little white frame around it. It's selected here, and then we paint over it. But the mask is already filled with black, and you have on your brush the color black. So that's why nothing happens. That's why we need to hit the X on your keyboard to have the white in the foreground. And now you can paint again. And you see, now the color pops out. And that happens because we delete parts of the mask that we see the colored version of the image here. What also can be done is use quick selection. For that we need to go back, that we have selected the image on the layer, not the mask. So we can choose that everything randomly. So, and we have now selected parts of it, and then we go back again. Oops. One. Hold on a second. We go back again to the mask. It needs to be selected with the white corner around. And then we hit the delete button by holding the Alt and delete. And you can see the selected area shows up colored now. So you can take away parts of your mask in different ways. You can use a brush, and you can use selected parts with the lasso tool by only making a kind of shape. So that one, we go back to the mask again, and we use the key Alt and delete, and here we go. It won't work for sure on the image with the lady in black and white. She is already black and white when we turn off. So there is nothing we can do on that image to recolor it. We can recolor, but we do that in a different live, because that's something also what takes time to do. So what I'm gonna show you is let's go to the first image back. Invert. Invert is something what can create a cool if you can remember when you was a child and see the photos of your parents, the Polaroids or so, they looked like that. If you do a crazy layout, why not use that filter? Why not try that? When you let's open something like that, and only I think I like the lady here. It's really quick done here. Multiply or color burn. You see, you can. It can give effect. You not think about that they can maybe look good. It's fun. You can see here in the corner that you get a purple. Or let's try another one. Let's use that one in the middle. Copy it. Place that in. Oops. Sorry. Oh, it's late. I know. I should go to bed. And now let's try it with the settings here. Look. Oops, it's gone. Screen. Color Dodge will also not work. overlay, soft. I think pin light. Well, it can look good if you use cool elements. You can create a really, and now we choose the difference setting on the layers, and that inverts again your image, so we have it again how it was before. Exclusion. So that's also something what you can do, playing around with the settings. What do they with my layer when I choose them, when I just go to the background, saturation, go up that, and then we go that. So let's see what happens when we change here the settings. You have a darker, you see the orange is, here is it orange on the darker part of the background, and here is it yellow. This is what pin light does. The linear light, you see, you get here a kind of nebula effect on the background. When you this is what happens when you play really with the parts, with all the settings. You can see what does the effects when I place them on a darker background or on a brighter background. And we can go here back again to invert that and copy paste that on that paper. So only those, and then we change here the settings. We have here dark. I like that. What happens here on the dark part, where when we move it, you can see through now the texture of the paper on the black and white lady. It doesn't much on the other images, only where you can see the white parts, the bright parts of your image. There you can see with the darken setting the texture through. Okay, we can multiply, it overlays the color burn. I like the color burn a lot because cool things happen if you have a brighter background, like this one, like this gesso paper or doily paper we have here, because the texture comes through extremely. When you move the images over to the darker part, you can see a lot. And I like the left part a lot more than the right part here. Linear burn. I think it intensifies and it works best with a brighter background than with a darker background. Then we have darker color. Also here we have this effect that light parts of your image looks more through. You can see here also the texture better, or it's kinds of transparency of the brighter parts of your image. Then we go to lighten. You can see lighten works here best when you have on your image with bright part on a darker background. You see here the lights, they pop up out, And here the girl's hairs with a lot of yellow, reddish and white in also comes out a lot. And you go to screen. It's very soft here. Color dodge also does well the saturation, and it looks a little bit broken, and it works only if you have a darker background. It doesn't work on a brighter background. Linear dodge is almost the same. Lighter color. You see, it doesn't work much on a brightest background, but the darker your background goes, the better the effect comes out. And what I can suggest you, if you play around like this, place a paper on your side, and if you see something you like, write down the settings. Like you have write down dark background, bright image, color settings, light color, for example. Write that down, then you have that on your site for the next time, and maybe you can use it once more and try it, and you can learn a lot by using it on your next layout. Okay, here we go again. Okay, we choose now overlay. I think it works also pretty nicely with the darker background, but I'm gonna choose only parts here and make it even more darker. So we have here in the, let's say 75% dark or gray, and on top and on the bottom we have 50% gray. And you can see the more darker it gets here, the more it looks muddy. So a gray with 50% does the best on that with the overlay setting. Next one is the soft light. It actually is the same like overlay, but it is more softened. So also here you can see it works not with a bright background. It only works best with a 50% gray or 50% of any colors, or you can, let's just hold on a second. We recolor it. So you have here orange, yellow, pink, and this is the gray again. So these are the parts. Then we have the hard light. Hard light. I like that. That's a layer setting I really like to enhance a little bit images. You can see you can get here a much intenser version of your image. And okay, changing here the background. You see that's now with a layer style. Those will be available in the newest kit collection, Precious. They look at that one. You can see. Let's move around with the other image, what it does. I think with the black and white picture, you really can get awesome effects here. That's a glitter effect. Looks a bit weird. And then we have a rainbow. Oh, those are parts of upcoming scraps collection. Just what I show you here. And these are parts of the Precious collection. And you can see it on the image below here with the girl. It really gets a kind of painted effects only by using the hard light setting and the upcoming styles. You can see here the yellow. I think the orange works fine. And then we have here a white version of this, how did I call them? Just paint styles. I think they call them paint styles. Okay, here we have some vintage stuff. Okay. Yes. What's next? Hard light we had. Vivid light we now use. Let's see what we can look at in the top of it. Vivid light, a black and white picture. Vivid light, and the background is a gradient. Choose here some different ones. Or that doesn't work. The glitter styles. So it's playing really. Oh, look at that grayish one. Look, take a look here. What effect you get now? It gives your image a kind of painted effect now. That's the white one. The golden. Purple. I think the purple looks also very nicely. How do the others look? Just hold on a second. Let's see. Clicking around. Oops. That was the wrong layer. Okay. I think the gray does here on that image also something nicely. Also gives it a painter effect. Here we have a little bit more darker background of the image, so you can see the texture a lot of through. Also here, I think you get a kind of depth more of your image. Okay, going back to that one. And then we use, the next one is linear light. Yes, it does something. It does, but nothing really cool. Pin light. Yes, it works not really good on dark parts. I think you need a bright picture on a bright background, and then pin light, and then you get some good results. And we have the hard light over here. Here you have a kind of what we had in the beginning of the live here, a kind of threshold effect when you choose on your layer setting the hard light. But you can see it works only. Okay, the live stopped now. So this is now the second part. I hope it will not stop until I'm done. Okay, hard mix. Yes, it does like kind of threshold effect we had chosen in the beginning of this live, the first part. Then we had the difference. We choose different. That's the same effect we had already with the invert. That's what it does. I think here on this 50% background, let's take away the grayish. You see here what happens if you only have a little bit more darker, if going to that part. You see that one? It's those 50% gray, and then we have the 75%, and the image totally having a different look now. It's not much what we changed, but the result is total different. Then we have exclusion. Yes, it works here with the darker part, but it's now nothing what is totally overwhelming. Subtract. Also something we need not to, yes. Works not on dark, I think, because everything is gone. You can't see. Yes, it's nicely to maybe to blend something. Then we have divide. Also here is it nice to see how the darker the background gets, the more you can see the image. We have here bright background again. You see nothing of your image, and the more you move your image around, you can see what it does. Divide, then we have hue. Hue does nothing. Everything is gone. Saturation. Yes, it only changes your background a little bit, but from your image itself, everything is gone. And then color, yes, it's here. Something like here. Well, also what we can forget. Luminosity. Well, it makes everything black and white. But you need to invert it before. Or not. I had it inverted. Yes. So luminosity changes everything into black and white. You need to not invert it. That was my mistake just. But let's change here the color of this part and see what happens to the image. Okay. So it's only black and white. Luminosity is only black and white and takes over the color of your background. Which means, let's place a colored background, and you can see it overtakes the color from the background. Also a nice effect, because the image itself overtakes the colors from the background, so it very includes into your layout. It can give your whole image a real nice effect. I think we are through now, and I explained now a lot. I'm gonna save this file for you, and I hope you like to play, and I hope you like to enjoy to learn what Photoshop does with anything is on your layers. Play around with the adjustments. play around with the filters. Don't really explore that. It's like going out on an adventure and explore the world of Photoshop. And I'm sure you will find a lot of new stuff. And don't forget to write things down. When you find something, an effect you love, write it down, because you will forget it for sure. I know that. I really recently did really a good effect on papers, and I forgot to write it down how I did it, and I not can redo this effect, and I could really bite in my, I don't say that word now. Okay, let's finish this long live now. I will cut it together and do it online the next days, and have it on my YouTube channel. If you like it, please comment. Please share if you have something. If you love, invite your friends to the anthology group. Ask what you like to know. Yes, I think this was it for now. Enjoy your day. Have a good time, and see you next time. Bye. That's